Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome Stories 79. I'm so happy to have every single one of you here today. This space is filled with love, passion, and stories that bring us closer together. Your support means everything to me, and I'm beyond excited to share today's journey with you. Before we begin, let's lift our hearts in prayer. Heavenly Father, bless this beautiful family and surround them with your love and protection. Guide their hearts and minds, filling them with peace and joy each day. Thank you for this community. May we grow stronger together in your grace. Amen. Now let's dive into today's story, and remember, a surprise is coming at the end. Stay tuned, and let's share love and positivity together. Late autumn sunlight flooded the Manhattan skyline in a wash of amber and gold, casting elongated shadows through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Ethan Knight's penthouse office. At just 35, Ethan stood at the summit of New York's competitive corporate world. His reflection in the glass revealed a tall figure in a perfectly tailored suit, though not even Tom Ford's finest could disguise the taut lines of tension across his broad shoulders. That morning's board meeting had left him unsettled, something he had rarely experienced since becoming CEO of Knight Holdings 15 years ago. The cause of his defeat was a woman he had underestimated, Avery Stone of Stone Financial. Ethan couldn't stop replaying how coolly she walked into the boardroom, commanding attention in understated elegance, Hermes heels on polished marble, her charcoal skirt immaculately pressed, and a cream silk blouse that suggested refined confidence. But it was her eyes, a fierce, bright amber, that had knocked him off balance. She dismantled his proposed acquisition of her company with razor-sharp precision, shooting down every argument his team presented. Calm, self-assured, and devastatingly intelligent, Avery Stone had made it clear she wasn't merely a business target to add to his empire. "Mr. Knight," she had said, her voice smooth, "your offer undervalues not just our assets, but our potential. Stone Financial isn't just another prize in your collection." In that moment, Ethan felt something shift. He was furious at being outmaneuvered, yet drawn to her boldness. Defeat was foreign on his tongue, but there was something intoxicating about the woman who had bested him. He turned away from the window, glancing at an invitation on his desk, a high-profile charity gala at the Metropolitan Museum that night. Rumor had it Avery Stone would be there. He considered canceling. He wasn't in the mood for social pleasantries, but the prospect of seeing her again lit a spark he couldn't ignore. Stepping into the private elevator, Ethan let himself relish the rare exhilaration of being challenged. He was used to controlling every deal, every outcome. Yet Avery Stone had shown him what it felt like to lose, and how strangely thrilling that could be. The Metropolitan Museum Charity Gala was in full bloom under the luminous chandeliers. Flowing gowns and black tie sophistication filled the grand entrance hall. Orchestras playing softly, camera flashes igniting the evening like tiny fireworks. Ethan arrived in a sleek black car, stepping into the crisp autumn air. Though he usually thrived on such social events, tonight his focus was singular: find Avery Stone. He didn't have to look long. She was near the Temple of Dinder, talking animatedly with the director of the city ballet. The emerald fabric of her gown shimmered, hugging her figure with effortless grace. Her dark hair was styled in a way that accentuated the elegant curve of her neck, and Ethan's pulse kicked up. He approached the bar just as Avery excused herself from her conversation. She felt his presence before he spoke, her spine straightening, those amber eyes narrowing slightly as she recognized him. "Mr. Knight," Avery said, eyeing him over the rim of a champagne flute. "Come to renegotiate terms?" "Actually," Ethan replied, signaling for 2 fresh glasses of champagne, "I came to admit defeat, and maybe negotiate something else." Avery studied him. "Interesting tactic. I assumed you never surrendered." "It's not surrender," he said softly, leaning in. "It's recognizing power when I see it." A flicker of a smile ghosted across her lips. "So, your new offer?" One evening, Ethan proposed. No business, no negotiations, just 2 people discovering what lies beyond a boardroom battle. She paused, clearly intrigued, and then nodded. "One evening. But don't mistake curiosity for surrender. I wouldn't dream of it," he murmured. He extended his hand, and with the soft waltz beginning in the distance, he led Avery onto the dance floor. Every step they took felt like forging a new path, one that had nothing to do with corporate acquisitions and everything to do with uncharted emotions. It ended too soon, but the electricity in the air promised that neither of them would be the same after tonight. Back at his penthouse, Ethan couldn't sleep. He stood by the windows, gazing at the lights of Manhattan, mindful of Avery Stone. By morning, he had already requested a background dossier on her. The more he read, Harvard Business School, youngest partner in Stone Financial's history, philanthropic work with inner-city education, immaculate reputation, the more she seemed beyond any typical conquest. He dialed his driver. "Take me to Stone Financial," he said. Despite a steady downpour, Ethan waited in the rain for a glimpse of Avery. It was reckless, fueled by a strange need to prove that last night was more than a fleeting spark. After 2 hours, he finally caught sight of her in the lobby, her expression shifting from surprise to something approaching wonder. She didn't invite him upstairs, but he felt a glimmer of hope when she didn't send security to escort him away, either. Later that day, an invitation arrived at her office, dinner at a discreet Italian restaurant. No pretense, no hidden motives, just them. La Piccola Lucia was tucked along a quiet cobblestone street in Little Italy, strings of warm lights crisscrossing above. Ethan greeted Mama Lucia, the warm Italian proprietor who had once fed him pasta when he was a broke young entrepreneur, living more on ambition than money. He escorted Avery to a candlelit table in a private alcove, the ambience intimate enough to soften all defenses. They talked for hours, diving into each other's backgrounds with an openness neither typically risked. Avery admitted the pressure of being a young black woman in high finance. Ethan spoke about building Knight Holdings from scratch, the intimidation that accompanied his public image. Over homemade tagliatelle and a shared tiramisu, something shifted. He could sense Avery's walls lowering. When they danced, no music but the distant hum of the city outside. Ethan realized he was on the precipice of a life-altering choice. Keep playing at power or risk everything for a chance at real connection. Avery left that night with Ethan's sweater draped over her shoulders. Both understood their one evening was blossoming into something far more meaningful and far more dangerous. Their growing connection unsettled Avery. She had spent her entire career proving herself. She wouldn't compromise her integrity or become gossip fodder in a world eager to belittle her achievements. But Ethan Knight had a way of looking at her that made her heart trip over itself. His phone calls, thoughtful gifts, and quietly persistent presence all told her that he, too, was reckoning with genuine feelings. While Avery struggled with her emotions, Ethan decided on a bold move, a new philanthropic branch at Knight Holdings that would empower women and minorities in business, partly inspired by Avery's ideals. He wanted to show her he was more than a ruthless dealmaker. Then, a bombshell, the board of Knight Holdings was quietly continuing a hostile takeover strategy via shell companies, started long before Ethan met Avery. When news broke, it appeared as if Ethan had orchestrated a cunning approach to seize Stone Financial from the inside. Avery felt gutted. Headlines accused her of being naive or complicit. She confronted Ethan, devastated, though he swore he'd try to halt the takeover. Corporate inertia had made it unstoppable without severe repercussions. Furious and betrayed, she walked out, believing every moment they'd shared was a sham. That night, Ethan announced his resignation as CEO of Knight Holdings and liquidated his shares, including the shell company holdings. He was willing to lose the empire he'd built to prove that what he felt for Avery was real. Yet her trust was shattered. She told him goodbye in a note pinned to the sweater he had once given her. "Thank you for the magic. Goodbye." Days turned into a week. Every morning, a single white rose appeared on Avery's desk before anyone arrived. She steeled herself, donating each rose to a children's hospital. Nonetheless, she held each bloom a little too long before letting go. Suddenly, Knight Holdings announced a sweeping restructuring. A new CEO, known for ethical leadership, would replace Ethan permanently. He had sold his controlling shares at below market value to an assortment of women-led investment firms. ensuring Stone Financial remained independent. The media could scarcely believe it. A silent hush fell over Avery as she read the public statements. Ethan's single text vibrated through her phone. "I know you won't believe me, but I love you. The old me started that takeover, but the man you awakened chose you over everything. I'll prove it every day, if you'll let me." She had no idea how to respond. Another package arrived by courier, Ethan's personal journal, containing detailed accounts of every moment he'd spent falling in love with her, culminating in an official resignation letter. In it, he wrote that some things mattered more than building an empire. Standing in her office, Avery pressed the journal to her chest, recalling the first night they danced, the quiet dinners, the passionate confessions. Could she forgive him? Could she trust he wasn't the man who'd once orchestrated that takeover? The next morning, a wave of scandalous photos hit the news. Security footage of Avery and Ethan dancing at the Metropolitan Museum Gala, captured in intimate closeness. Sensational headlines questioned whether she had used romantic influence over him to block the takeover. Social media raged with prejudice and misogyny, belittling her leadership and ethics. As panic swelled, Avery stepped into crisis mode. The board demanded a press conference. Ethan arrived within minutes, ignoring security protocols to stand by her side. "We face this together," he insisted. "No hiding." Before the press, Ethan Knight declared he'd fallen for Avery the moment she walked into that boardroom. He explained his resignation, his decision to sell his holdings, and how none of it had anything to do with manipulation, only remorse and love. Avery's voice rang firm when she said her success came from her brains, not any personal relationship. She reminded them that the only revelation here was that two people had dared to fall in love while also thriving in business. Their sincerity resonated. Public opinion pivoted, many celebrating them as a powerful couple forging a new path in the corporate world, one prioritizing integrity, equality, and love. Standing at the podium, Avery and Ethan realized they had inadvertently become role models for navigating career and romance with honesty. That night, on Ethan's penthouse balcony, Avery watched the sun setting over the city. She rested against his chest, feeling more at peace than she had in weeks. "You were magnificent today," Ethan murmured, pressing his lips to her hair. "We both were," she corrected, turning to look up at him. "No more secrets?" "No more secrets," Ethan promised, leaning in to kiss her gently. In the weeks that followed, they drew up plans for an unprecedented partnership. Avery would remain CEO of Stone Financial, while Ethan focused on a new tech-focused venture capital firm designed to lift underrepresented founders. A philanthropic foundation, championed by both, would empower rising entrepreneurs from marginalized communities. In a massive joint board meeting, they presented their vision, collaborating without merging, supporting each other's strengths, and proving that love and ethical leadership could thrive side by side. The board voted unanimously in favor. It was, as one seasoned member remarked, a revolution in corporate culture. To celebrate, they hosted friends and family at Ethan's penthouse. Mama Lucia arrived with fresh tiramisu. Avery's mentors mingled with members of Ethan's new philanthropic team, discussing how to empower small businesses. It felt like a family gathering, both professional and personal worlds colliding in the best possible way. Ethan closed the piano lid after playing a gentle piece he'd composed for Avery. She joined him, her hand resting on his shoulder, grateful for the changes that had reshaped their lives and the corporate world. "I can't believe this all started with a failed takeover," she teased. "Failed in business," Ethan mused, "but the greatest success of my life in every other way." Their kiss under the softly lit chandelier that evening signaled not just triumph in the boardroom, but victory over the fears that once caged their hearts. One snowy evening, nearly a year later, Avery stood under the softly illuminated Washington Square arch. A light dusting of snow coated the city, making the park look like a scene from a fairy tale. Ethan had asked her to meet him here, mentioning a walk reminiscent of their early days, but the glimmer in his voice hinted at something more. A hidden quartet began to play the familiar piano melody Ethan once composed for her, but now arranged for strings. Lanterns glowed along a path, leading to a circle of light marked by antique lamps. Photographs hovered in the winter air, each capturing their journey, that first gala dance, the notorious press conference, shared dinners, the philanthropic events. Every memory glowed with a soft, nostalgic warmth. Ethan stepped into the circle, a single white rose in his hand. He had never looked more handsome, dark hair dotted with snow, eyes shining with emotions he no longer bothered to hide. "You showed me what true success is," he said, voice trembling slightly. "And you taught me how to love without fear." Taking one knee, he pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. Within it was a final page, blank except for a single question. "Will you marry me, not just for today, but for every moment that follows?" Tears freezing on her lashes, Avery lifted him from his kneeling position, took the pen he offered, and wrote beneath his question, "Yes, forever." The crowd of friends and family that had gathered, hidden among the snowy trees, burst into applause. Mama Lucia popped champagne. Avery's longtime supporters cheered. Ethan and Avery kissed in a swirl of snow and glowing lights, tears mingling with unbridled laughter. That night, with the city spread before them from the penthouse balcony, Avery leaned against Ethan's chest, ring shimmering on her hand. She thought about the road they had traveled, from adversaries in a boardroom to partners in shaping a brighter, more inclusive corporate future. "Are you ready?" Ethan asked, voice low. "Ready to keep proving the world can be better when we lead with heart? With you by my side?" Avery smiled. "I'm ready for anything." And so, the story that began with a hostile takeover ended with a far more powerful merger. Two hearts joined in trust, hope, and a love bold enough to remake empires from the inside out. Hi, my beautiful family. I have something exciting on the horizon. I'm planning to create a new channel starting February 5th, and the name will be a surprise for everyone. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. What name do you think would be perfect for our new channel? Share your ideas in the comments, and let's make this decision together. Your creativity means the world to me, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. As always, subscribe if you love this story and want more. Stay blessed, keep spreading kindness, and I'll see you soon.